throughout this trial. There are always two sides in a trial. As representing the defendant, Stacia Shepard has been wrongfully charged with 2 attempted murders and 2 counts of first-degree assault. The evidence that we have shown proves that Ms. Shepard has been wrongfully charged and did not commit the crime with a guilty mind. 2 girls by the name of Peyton Harris and Pat Smith had come up to Ms. Shepard asking for a cigarette, in which they later caused a loud and disruptive scene. Harris and Smith are 16 and 17 respectively and could not drink or smoke cigarettes legally. If Harris is such a good student and Smith was holding out on a job, why would they even be breaking the law in 2 ways? Even if they did not know that they were doing that, ignorance of the law excuses no one. Smith went to Ms. Shepard asking for a cigarette, which she shouldn't have had in the first place, but had asked her friend before. It was found that Harris had 4 cigarettes, and so she either lied to her friend or cannot remember everything clearly. These 2 kids were similar to the ones that had killed Ms. Shepard's son. Smith and Harris were in an association that had gang-like qualities. They were colors to represent themselves and had tattoos and used physical force to protect themselves. However, she did not do it out of revenge, but self-defense. The evidence has shown that Jessie was justified to use self-defense. She reasonably believed her life was in danger because she saw Harris reach into a pocket with the black handle in which she thought was a handle of a knife. Since a knife is a deadly weapon, it is proportionate to use the gun, another deadly weapon. Jessie faced an imminent threat, which was that the 2 girls were cornering her and demanding her wallet, her watch, and a cigarette. If Shepard wanted revenge, she would have killed them and fired more than 5 shots, which only 2
May it please the court and the opposing counsel. On behalf of my co-counsels and the state of New York, I would like to thank you and express our appreciation for the attention you have given this trial. In the opening statement, my colleague stated that Jessie Shepard is guilty of 2 counts of attempted murder and 2 counts of assault in the first degree. The question is not if the defendant shot. It is if she was justified in shooting the young victims who testified earlier, Pat Smith and Peyton Harris. Ms. Shepard is not justified in her violent crimes, as the evidence has shown. Ms. Smith and Ms. Harris were on the train going home on the morning of October 31st, 2009. When the 5 express train reached 86th Street, Ms. Smith got up from her seat and asked the defendant if she had a cigarette. Initially, she had asked Ms. Harris for one, but Ms. Harris thought that she had smoked her last cigarette. The defendant told Pat Smith that she was disrespecting herself. Ms. Harris joined them at this point because she didn't like seeing her friend being yelled at and wanted to stick up for her. Ms. Harris is only an inch taller than the defendant. She's hardly big and menacing. The defendant reached in her pocket, pulled out a gun, and shot Ms. Smith in the stomach. Ms. Harris ran away when this happened, but the defendant kept firing, and after 5 shots, she finally succeeded in hitting Ms. Harris in the leg. The police found both girls on the ground, bleeding profusely. The law states that Ms. Shepard needs to have had intent to and also have acted in a way that could lead to death for a charge of attempted murder. She also needs to have had intent to cause a serious injury and done so with a weapon for assault in the first degree. There is no dispute that the 5 shots were fired. If we were to assume that the defendant needed to protect herself, then disabling Ms. Smith with her first shot was enough. Ms. Harris ran away after the first shot was fired. The defendant fired 4 times after that.
Counsel, I am Austin Ostrow. My co-counsel includes Riley Sampson, David Chen, Sadiq Ahmed, and Amina McKay. We are here to represent the people of the state of New York and the victims in this case, Peyton Harris and Pat Smith. The state is charging the defendant, Jessie A. Shepard, with 2 counts of attempted murder in the first degree and 2 counts of assault in the first degree. On October 31st, 2009, 2 young girls, Peyton Harris and Pat Smith, left a club and went on number 5 express train heading north from 14th Street. When they sat down on the train, they saw a woman glaring at them. This woman was later learned to be the defendant, Jessie A. Shepard. Even though the victims did not say one word to the defendant, the glares continued. Eventually, the victim, Pat Smith, got the urge for a cigarette and decided to go up to the defendant and ask for a cigarette. Rather than just answer the inquiry, the defendant further antagonized the victim by saying, "You're disrespecting yourself." When Pat Smith persisted in his questioning for a cigarette, Jesse Shepard reached into his pocket, pulled out a gun, and shot 5 shots. One bullet hit Pat Smith in the stomach. The other bullet hit Peyton Harris in the back of his right thigh as he was running away. Reese Johnson, a very close friend of the defendant, alerted the conductor who contacted the police, and when they got to the next station, the police arrested everybody, and Peyton Harris and Pat Smith were sent to the hospital.
Ladies
The
and
defense
gentlemen
may
of the
argue-
court and opposing counsel, my name is Jennifer Wu, and my co-counsels are Raymond Iglesias, Shakira Mejia, Sakura Berry, C. Chang Wang, and Elena Caraballo. We represent the defendant, Jesse Shepard. Jesse Shepard has been wrongfully charged with 2 counts of assault and 2 counts of attempted murder. Prior to these charges, Jesse Shepard has never been in trouble with the law. She has no criminal record. She works as a building supervisor for a financial firm downtown Manhattan, and she leads a normal life as a working citizen. The prosecution would have you believe that Jesse Shepard intentionally attempted to assault and murder Pat Smith and Peyton Harris. But the truth is that Jesse Shepard did not have this intent. So, what really happened on the northbound number 5 express train on October 31st, 2009? The evidence will show that Jesse Shepard did not have a mens rea or intent to assault and attempt to murder Pat Smith and Peyton Harris. My client only fired her gun as self-defense. The law states that a person may use deadly physical force when she reasonably believes that the other person is about to or is using deadly physical force. Here, Jesse Shepard was threatened by Pat Smith and Peyton Harris when Pat Smith asked for a cigarette and demanded for my client, Jesse Shepard's wallet and watch. As Pat Smith was doing so, she reached into her pocket and was pulling out something with a black handle. My client thought it was the black handle of a blade. Jesse Shepard was surrounded and trapped by Pat Smith and
Can you
Peyton
drink free on the train?
Well, I don't know if I see people nowadays.
Who did you see on the train?
I saw this lady and she kept on constantly staring at me, which was kind of annoying.
Is this lady in court today?
Yeah.
May you please come forward? The defendant, Jesse Shepard. What did you do about the constant look?
Well, for a moment it got awkward and I went up to her and I asked her if there was a problem.
And how did she respond?
Then in response she looked away like she did not hear me.
Then what happened?
After that I went back to my seat.
You went back to your seat. So how did you get in contact with Shepard?
I started having this urge for a cigarette and I didn't have any. And I asked my friend Peyton if she had any and she said no. So I passed on my approach Trevor.
You approached Shepard. So when you approached Shepard, what did you do?
She said I was disrespecting myself.
She said you were dismissed. Did Harris say anything?
Harris came up and said that Shepard was pushing me and that she would go back to school and that she would not to me.
When Peyton Harris said that, what did Shepard do?
Shepard reached into her pocket and I was happy because I thought she was going to give me a cigarette. I reached into my pocket to find some matches.
What else were in your pocket besides matches?
A screwdriver because I had the same jacket on and I had to get away.
Thank you. And also, what happened next?
Instead of putting a cigarette for me, Shepard just pulled out a gun and next thing I hear was a bullet going through my stomach. And it felt like my skin was opening up and next thing I hear I saw blood falling and I fell on the floor.
Can you still hear that sound?
Yeah.
What did you see and hear?
Well, I saw paint and running, and I heard five bullets coming out of the gun and staying from on the floor.
After that, what happened?
I was relieved because we made it to one of the stops, and then after that, the police came and they took Shepard, arrested me, and took him to the hospital.
Your Honor, you have no further questions.
May it please the court, the opposing counsel, my client, Ms. Jessie Shepard, and I, Shakira Mejia, would like to thank everyone for their attention and consideration that you all have given us today throughout the trial. In every argument, there's always two sides to one story. Today, my client is being charged for the use of excessive force by shooting Jessie Shepard and Pat Smith. But today, my client won't go to jail because the evidence has shown that there's a reasonable doubt that she is innocent. We're not here to find out if Ms. Shepard shot these kids or not, because we know she did. But we are here to find out if she did it to protect herself from these two young, tall ladies, or that surrounded her with no way out, or to get revenge for her son's death caused by two people associated in an association like these teenagers are supposed to be into, to protect one another. Well, Your Honor, we believe that our evidence has shown that Ms.
Your Honor, Jessie Shepard did not attempt to murder and assault Pat Smith and Payne Harris, but was only acting on self-defense. Yes, she did fire 5 shots, but she was in a shocked, bewildered, and fearful state of mind. Jessie Shepard is not guilty. We believe the prosecution will not be able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Jessie Shepard was on that train that night with an intent to murder 2 complete strangers that were trying to rob her. Jessie Shepard only used her gun to defend her life. We ask that you will find my client, the defendant, Jessie Shepard, not guilty. Thank you.
This is Stacia Hobdy, and we hope that you take away from this table the understanding that there are an amazing plethora of programs and educational resources that we may not always be knowledgeable about within our communities, but if we're willing to go out and to seek these things out, they are definitely well worth the effort. And I just hope that, you know, you take away from today's program the knowledge that it is so important to be able to give your children the opportunities that are available to them so that they can expand and so that they can grow and develop rather. And that's about it. We want to thank you so much for joining us today on Fade to Black. My name is Stacia Hobdy. In all things, I wish you grace, peace, and love. And in every aspect of your life, I want to encourage you to keep it moving.
God willing, tomorrow's another